This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Sam Tallent, and he tells us about Time Knife, which is a 200-page screenplay he wrote with no ending, that it took years later to come on this podcast for me to poke a very simple hole in the whole story. It's hilarious. It's a very fun episode. Here we go, Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my God.
Welcome to Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. And it's a great podcast, and you're going to love it. All right, I'm so excited for our guest this week. Please welcome Sam Tallent. Yay.
Oh my God, what an honor. What a mitzvah it is to be here. Thank you very much for having me, Monica.
Thank you for being
Max,
here.
you're on thin ice immediately.
Oh, wow.
For the both of us, you really just starting off strong here.
Yeah, you head shamed me. And then you made Monica look like a fool at the beginning of her own illustrious program.
That was before we were recording. I don't know what you're talking about.
It doesn't count.
Okay, cool. So you redacted it. You erased history like ISIS, Max. Good work.
Anyways.
Perfect. Oh, well, thank you for being here. I'm excited to have you.
Oh man, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. It's been a long road to get here.
It has, yes. We've been trying for a while.
Yes.
Okay, so we like to start off by giving your good ideas so that people know you've had some credibility, you've made some good decisions. So, Sam Tallent, your good ideas. They include, you did Just for Laughs New Faces. You were on the Comedy Central Roast Battle. You're on the Viceland Flophouse. You wrote a book called Running the Light, which we've had a couple authors on this show, and I was always like, oh, that's amazing, you wrote a book. But I read your book. I actually read your book.
Thank you.
And I love it. I think it's really just really well written. And as a comic myself, obviously, I think a lot of us can relate in a lot of ways. But even if you're not a stand-up comic or you don't really know a lot about it, it's just a very well written story. And I really liked it.
Oh, thank you, Monica. That's very kind and flattering.
Yeah. Well, and then also you wanted me to add that you got married, and that was a good idea. You got a super cool wife.
My wife proposed to me, and I said yes.
Hell yeah.
And that was the smartest thing I've ever done, for sure.
That's awesome. But and among other writings you've done for Vice.com and Birdie Magazine and places like that. So you've had plenty of good ideas, I think.
Well, I agree. I mean, most of those good ideas, though, were just me. Well, I guess I had to audition a bunch for JFL and threaten Jeff Singer.
Yeah.
But like the rest of them were just me saying yes. Besides writing that book. Saying yes is a good idea. You're right.
Yeah. We're not taking anything away from you. But also, like, I mean,
think you're giving me too much. That's what I'm trying to
I'm really trying to build you up
humble.
here so you can just tear it down with your bad
Oh,
ideas.
good.
I always like, because some people we have on and just like, do they just do stand up and that's it or whatever, which isn't, there's nothing wrong with that. But the idea, like, you're still coming up with things and being creative all the time, even if you're just doing stand up. So that, and then to have come up with this whole book is just, I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was a brutal situation, and I'm glad that it came out of me, and that I'm really grateful that people like it, especially when comics say they like it, because I didn't know if it was good or not until people read it. Unlike stand-up,
yeah,
which
that is
you know
an
if it's good or bad right away.
Right. How long did it take you to write?
It took me probably, I think it was under a year, because I was just like wrote all the time whenever I was home. I was in Vegas. My wife did her first 2 years of med school in Vegas, and it was fucking lonely and sad. So.
Oh, well, add that to the good list part. I didn't realize she was also a medical school graduate.
Yeah, she's a doctor now, which rocks. I mean, I'm loving owning $500,000 in debt. That's cool. That's the best part of being married to her, is she comes with $500K in damages, but she's a good doctor, and she's a good woman and a good partner. So I'll take it. I would go up to $1 million in debt for her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But not a penny more.
Nothing more than that.
Yeah, it's good to actually have a number on how much you love someone.
Yeah. Well, then there's not a lot of questions, if you can quantify it. Perfect. Okay, so when I kind of sent you the outline, bad ideas, what did you come up with first?
Man, my worst idea of all time, I think, historically bad, was I wrote it when I was probably 19, 20, 21. I wrote a screenplay
Okay.
before ever knowing how to do that or reading any books about screenplay, anything like that. And I wrote like a 200-page screenplay for a film called Time Knife.
Time Knife.
Time Knife. So here's the premise. Okay.
Yeah.
There's and I don't have this screenplay anymore. I lost the computer in a very messy breakup a long time ago. So it pains me to know that it's out there.
Just waiting to be released.
Yeah, it's in a Goodwill, probably in southern Colorado. And if anyone can like get it open and read it, they're gonna it's the diary of a madman. They're gonna think that just some screaming galoot birthed this into life, which is true. But okay, so here's how it works. You have a guy, what was his name? Fuck, I know his first name was Richard. It was okay. So you have a guy, and this is set in like the 1970s, and he's a butcher.
Okay.
Just a hardworking blue-collar butcher down there in Pueblo, Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, just a guy who loves to take the carcasses apart and, really handy with a knife. And it's the only world he's ever known. He comes from a long line of butchers, and he gets drafted. He gets conscripted into Vietnam.
Oh. I
don't know if you've heard of the Vietnam conflict, but it was a really hairy one. It was a real bag of bees. Not a lot of winners over there. So he goes to Vietnam, and in his tribulations and in his his fighting and his warring, he loses his butchering arm.
Oh no.
Yeah, so his right arm is his knife arm is removed from his body due to violence.
Yes.
And but it's decided, so the rest of they need a butcher really bad over there. Okay, so it's decided that I know. Okay. And if you ask Howard Zinn, they were all butchers.
So yeah, what kind of butcher are we talking about?
The butcher of Hanoi. No, so like an actual meat butcher. He needs to carve them up. So the U.S. government decides to give him a new arm, and they attach a new arm, which is partially robotic. There's some cybernetics involved. There's a lot of science involved that I have zero understanding of, but so he gets his arm back, and he goes to butchering, and then a bunch of combatants come into the tent while he's butchering, and one of them's about to pull the trigger, and he throws a knife at one of them, but the knife misses, and then everything changes. There's no war anymore. As soon as the knife goes, it goes through the wall. There's a rift in time that opens up, and the knife goes through, and everything's different. There's no Vietnam War. He's just standing in Vietnam, in a rice paddy, surrounded by young people enjoying bicycles, and so the government starts. They get him, and they start putting tracking devices on his knives, and they have him stand at certain places. They fly him around the world and stand at certain places, and they throw a knife, and it's revealed that his knives are flying through time, and that they're causing alterations in a butterfly effect type situation. So they have him like go stand in Berlin and like throw the knife at exactly the right time of day to have it fly back and kill Hitler. So anyway, he just becomes a time assassin where he's whipping knives through time and space. And yeah, okay. So that's pretty much that was the whole screenplay of Time Knife.
I mean, wow, that is. I like the whole thing. Like, there's a lot to it, and you wrote 200 pages. You're this is
and there's no end.
There's no end. That's it. Like,
no.
He just is going. Well, yeah. Did you lose the laptop right as you were finishing it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was eating a bunch of LSD at the time, so I was like, this is perfect. We did it.
Well, that is a thing I worry about. It seems like a book that people who love to do research would enjoy. And so if you were like, well, this is how they did the arm, this is how it traveled through time, you're like, you have to do a lot of research to make sure that makes sense.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. You should do a lot of research. I did not do any of the aforementioned research.
It just goes through time, and you're like, how? Yeah. It just does. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like have him go stand, and then like, so it ends up that he goes rogue. That's the issue with him. Is the CIA wants him to be, this war machine, this like tier 1 operator, but he decides that he is given like full clearance, right? So he knows who killed JFK, he knows who killed Martin Luther King Jr., and he decides that he's going to go back in time and stop whoever killed JFK. I think it was Lee Harvey, just for simplicity's sake, and go back to Memphis and throw a knife at the hotel window where the cowardly sniper's bullet took down civil rights leader MLK Jr. So he goes back and he kind of undoes all these evils that the CIA has been responsible for.
Okay, so he starts going against them, which, I mean, okay, so he goes and kills Hitler. So then the next thing you would think was like, okay, well, we can save people who would have been helpful, we feel like, if they have, if Martin Luther King hadn't been killed, who knows what would have happened.
Well, the CIA was the one who did it, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. So even though he's thinking like, well, if we're killing these bad people to make things better, then this should be on the list. And they're like, no, we don't want that one.
yeah, exactly. Like, hey, chill out. There's a froyo stand across the street. Go have some fun. And, it's all set in like 1978. And I think 81 was as far as he got forward in time. So, I had a real tenuous grasp of history.
I was going to say, these are interesting times to choose. Did he go like forward in time at all? Or they like, the knife only went in the past?
It only goes backwards.
Okay, cool.
That would be insane. That wouldn't make any sense.
Right. Sorry.
What are you, nuts?
That was silly of me. This knife can only cut through
that's the
time
number
backwards.
One question
okay.
that I got through Time Knife.
Did you let people read it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, look at this. Look at this thing I've done. And they were like, you need more electrolytes.
I mean, that is, I think, again, where you're just like, wow, 200 pages, that's a lot, like you really spent some time on this, and then it's Time Knife. I mean, that is, now I want to know how it would end, I mean, that was...
I think how it ends is he goes back to old Hanoi and he throws a knife at the space he was standing on when I think he kills himself on the operating table and removes himself.
Nice. You made both the producers go, oh.
Yeah, whoa, uh-oh, heavy mystery
Okay, so
time.
he's got to take himself out because it doesn't... So then everything would go back to just the way it was, because if he killed himself before he was throwing the knives, then... See, I can't think too much about it.
I think, you can't think at all about the premise of this because it falls apart immediately with the simplest pull of a thread. But yeah, I mean, it's just the real Ouroboros of a snake eating its own ass for time travel. And very smart people, unlike me, can't crack the time traveler's paradox. So
that's true.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean, if anybody's traveling through time, it's people on LSD. So maybe that was helpful.
Yeah, or they realize that time isn't real. Maybe that's the breakthrough.
Maybe that has something to do with the book in general, You're like, why does it matter if we can just cut right through it, Yeah,
hey, there we go.
Time is a construct. We can just knife
Slice
through. The butchering part, sorry, I got so into the story that I forgot that he was a butcher, and possibly my favorite part. I like that you were just like, they needed a butcher, like that. Like they wanted him to stay in Vietnam because they needed a butcher. Was he? What was he butchering? I mean, I guess that's
over in Vietnam.
Yeah, is he butchering up people?
No. I think he was just processing carcasses to be consumed.
Got it. Okay, so
and it's like, of course, there's so many people who could have done that job.
Right. Again, that's why I don't understand where they're like, in Vietnam, just the whole country was like, we need a butcher and we need it to be you.
Yeah, because like you're the best butcher the United States has ever produced, apparently, in this terrible premise.
Right. Well, now he's got his fake. Is it it's a better butcher arm?
Yeah, like a lot. It's probably hundreds of millions of dollars went into making sure this butchering arm was better. It was an improvement.
Top notch, yes.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, there's many people over there who can do the butchering. Uh, Also, like butchering isn't really. I mean, it is skill intensive for sure, but it's not like you can't teach someone how to do it in 2 weeks. Like, I don't know why you're gonna put so many resources of the United States government behind putting his arm back on.
Yeah. Well, and I just don't understand why just one and then they like really needed a butcher, like it seems like a dire situation where we have to get this guy.
Yeah.
What situation was the meat industry in before that over there? I have a lot of
Yeah, I
questions
think
about
that the dire situation was needing to move into Act Two. I think that was the big issue the government was trying to address. I mean, I was up late at night ignoring personal relationships to work on this thing.
Yeah, okay.
I was hunched over sweating on the keyboard, like, no, I'm close. Just yelling I'm close at people. Come to bed. Shut up.
I'm getting really close. This is starting to make sense. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm on page 180. It's coming together.
It's coming together. We're really finding some stuff out here. I mean, I guess do you remember what initially sparked the idea of like, I guess, did it start with the idea of a time knife and then go backwards? Did you go, what if a knife could go through time and kill people? Or were you like, I want to write a story about a butcher that goes to Vietnam?
No. Yeah, no, it was for sure like, oh my God, dude, what if a knife went through time? And then a bunch of people being like, we have to go to work. It's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, we told you couldn't crash here for more than 3 days. And I'm like, hear me out.
Hold on. Yeah. I'm almost there.
Yeah. No, I do remember that my friends and I would go to the woods and smoke a lot of weed and play axe golf, where we would just bring hatchets and you would like call out a tree and you'd be like, all right, that tree in 3 shots. And then you'd whip the axe as far as you could. And then you try and stick it into the tree. That was axe golf.
Was this
and I think
on your list of things?
What's that?
Was this on your list of bad ideas? That seems dangerous.
Well, you can't have anyone downrange.
Right.
Yeah, you do have to be. You can't yell 4 when you're throwing an axe. You have to. So yeah, I think it came from one of those.
I see. So you're like, what if this axe went through the tree and time itself?
Yeah, what if this axe just kept going?
Yeah.
And like, if you really want to break it down, the laws of physics, there's like, you can't put enough energy into a blade to have it move forever.
Right.
Like, it's going, like, the energy is going to die off. I mean, I guess maybe that's where the special cybernetic arm comes in.
Because I was wondering, it seems like is it the knife itself, or is it some combination of what happens to him after he gets the other arm? Because if while butchering, he didn't know that this was something he could do before that. Do you not know?
Monica, it would have made so much more sense if it was the knife itself. Him being imbued with these powers by getting a new arm attached. It makes so much less sense than a special knife. Oh my God.
Oh no, did we break it open here?
Why wasn't it the knife? He didn't have to go to war at all. Oh no. Jesus.
Oh.
Of course it should have been the knife.
I'm sorry.
If it's a knife, then you only have one knife, though.
Yeah,
Well,
does he
think
lose
Right?
the knife?
Design more
If it's
knives.
him, then the story
They
can
could
go on.
design more knives.
I think that they're not going to have one prototype that they let him hurl through space and time. They'll
True.
probably have a knife design that's patented,
Good point.
and they'll produce more of them. Why wasn't it the knife?
Well, and the title is Time Knife. It's not, butcher arm or whatever.
Right.
And, yeah. Are you
Oh.
okay?
Holy shit. Oh, I'm crying.
Yeah, well, because I was just, as you were starting the story, I was like, maybe he figures out he has powers as a butcher. And then
it's
goes
the
to
arm.
no, it's the arm that gives him.
Somehow
Okay.
the arm is both technologically advanced and magical, and I don't know how. I just was like, okay, well, he has this arm, so clearly it gives him the power to chuck knives through time.
Well, and that's because it's like, why knives then? If it's the arm, like, could there be other things that he could do with the arm or throw? If he just throws anything hard
Yeah.
enough, does it go
I
through
mean, he could
time?
have thrown ball bearings through space. He could have. I mean, yeah, it could be anything. The name is totally obsolete. It should have been the knife. Woo. Yeah. So that was probably the dumbest idea that I've wasted the most amount of time on.
I mean,
was
that's
time
definitely. I think you take the award for most amount of time invested in a bad idea. Well, we have had a couple of relationship bad ideas that were like 15 years, so I guess that maybe not that, but as far as creating something, this is the winner for sure.
Yeah. No, I've been pretty good about knowing when a relationship has run its course.
That's
and just
good.
being like, well,
That's
go ahead
it.
and say it. And then they're like, that'll do, pig. And I'm like, okay. And then I bail.
And then you're like, what about my laptop?
Yeah.
Time knife's on there.
That's how bad that relationship was that I fled and left time knife behind.
Maybe you were hoping eventually it would travel back to you.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it gets published by like Confederacy of Dunces. Like it's anonymous.
Somebody's like, no, I wrote this. Yeah, it's really good. And then they're like,
someone else gets to claim knife.
They do like, I don't know, a Comic-Con or something, and everybody's like, so why did you choose for it not to be the knife, but it was the arm? And he's like, I don't know, it just came to me.
Yeah, you can't ask the muse why she's there. You just gotta paint her. And then I'm furious, and people are like, look, no one's proud of this. Why are you
like, why are you angry about this really bad screenplay?
Yeah. And then I like design an arm that I can then go assassinate the guy who stole the idea from me.
Yeah, right. When he's gonna get the laptop, then you can throw a knife.
Yeah, that'd be the postmodern,
Something.
2021 take on this film. Is since it's so bad, they would have to like zoom out on it and make it into the screenwriter, and then the screenwriter like actually realizes the idea and makes it reality, and then it's like very postmodern and
Right. Then you
winking.
Yeah. Well, because that's a bit of time travel on its own, doing it that way.
Oh yeah.
So that's good.
Where were you? Where were you in 2008 when you could have just been like, "Look, pal, why isn't it the knife?"
Graduating
And I'm
high
just
school,
like,
I
collapse.
I mean, your face right then was it was priceless of you being like, yeah, why wasn't it the knife?
Why wasn't it the damn knife? It's infinitely easier.
Yeah.
Or why wasn't he like a tinkerer he's like a butcher, for work, but then he's an inventor in his off time and he invents this knife.
Well, that's where I was what I was thinking, because he's a butcher, I thought he was really into like different types of knives, so then that would lead him to figure out this situation, I guess. But
oh yeah,
they didn't.
No, the
really...
smallest amount of scrutiny has improved this tenfold.
Other than them Vietnam needing a butcher, the butchering doesn't necessarily have a lot to do with the story,
Yeah, I mean, that's the hinge. Is that Vietnam, the U.S. government decides that they need a butcher in Vietnam. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's brutal. How bad this is.
I mean, oh god.
But I remember once, like, my dad being like, "What you working on, pal? Like, how's comedy going?" And I was like, "Well, Dad, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay because I've got time knife." And then like telling him and just seeing like him like nodding and being like, "Oh, so you can still sign up for classes."
It's not too late.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's never good either. When you're, I mean, I don't know how supportive your parents are, but if they're checking in on you, they're supportive enough. I feel like when your parent, the person who's like, "Yeah, I'll put your shitty art on the fridge forever," is like, "Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea."
Yeah. Whenever my dad calls me bud or pal, it's like,
yeah.
Oh God, if he could cry in front of me, this would be it.
That's the same. You're like, I'm sorry.
No, they're incredibly supportive. But yeah, even this one, they were like, "Oh, are you doing okay?"
Well, yeah, now it's all worked out as far as writing. Maybe that was
Yeah,
it.
no.
That was the universe being like, you can't finish this because I don't want you to show it to anybody. Why don't you start writing something else? And then you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's why that lady cheated on me with my best friend, was because I had to get out of there.
I mean,
It's good. I like stuff that toughens you up. You know, with perspective, everything's a win. And Time Knife, that kind of stuff. It's been a pretty peachy ride for old Sam T.
that's great. I mean, I like that positive attitude, you know.
Well, you have to adapt, or else you'll lose your mind and start getting producers to sign on for Time Knife.
Yeah, and if you think too much about it, then it makes it worse, I feel like.
Oh yeah. Thinking about stuff's never helped.
It's so dumb. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, wait. Sorry, my heart is just all over the place because I think it's such a funny idea.
Oh yeah. You cracked me so hard with the why wasn't it the knife?
We're just here changing lives on this podcast, you know.
Dude.
Where can people find you? Are you doing live stuff again? Are you doing shows and stuff? And then where can they find the book and follow you and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. You do a short pod, don't you?
Yes. We go short.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. You can find everything at samtallent.com, SAMTALLENT.com. Tour dates are up there, and you can buy the book. I'm also doing this thing for like $9 a month. If you want some of my writing, I'm going to start sending letters out to people on a subscription service where you'll get new shit that I wrote that month, which I'm stoked on. And there's been a very good response for. So
Maybe
yeah,
Time
you can
Knife will
find
make a
everything at
comeback.
samtallent.com. At Sam Tallent on Instagram, Twitter. I don't really do Twitter.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, if I'm going to sign up for the monthly thing because I want to see some Time Knife come back. That's what.
Yeah, so there's been a high demand for Time Knife.
There it's going to be now, yeah.
Let's
I'm
get this
gonna
made.
Serialize Time Knife.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening. If you're, let's see, it's different on everyone. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. We also have YouTube memberships that gives you some behind the scenes stuff from this podcast and other videos that only members can see. If you're on Spotify, follow, Apple, subscribe, give us a review. Reviews really help. That would be helpful. And make sure you go and follow Sam. Check out his book that you can read, Running the Light. And also keep your fingers crossed for Time Knife to come out.
Yeah, and hey, if you find any Time Knife-esque plot holes in my book, keep them to yourself. All right.
I won't tell. You know what? I mean, I didn't have any thoughts other than that I really liked it. So that's good.
Look, and hey, if you're a new buyer and a new reader, look, I know that Pontiac didn't make the Sebring. All right. I know it's a Chrysler Sebring. Thank you for the hundreds of people who've told me that. I'm not changing it. It's a work of fiction.
I love it that somebody would be like, I can't get into this. It's a Chrysler. Why would this be? You know, like, that would bother you.
I don't know anything about cars.
Well, I didn't notice, obviously. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all very much for watching and listening. And why don't you just keep watching Dumb Pitches?
Yeah.
You're weird.
Yes.